Hello, everyone. Hello, Bob. Haven't had a chance to talk to you personally. Welcome to the Spotlight stage, everyone. Please come in. There's a few seats here. And this is one of my presentations that I'm actually most looking forward to. So I hope that you guys back there will come in and join us for this. It's a presentation by David Cruikshank and Scotiabank about what you all can do, what they've done at Scotiabank in terms of a VIA Innovation Lab. So let me turn it over to David.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. So, and good afternoon. Yes, okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for spending part of your day with me today. My name is David Cruikshank, and I lead a risk technology and data solutions team at Scotiabank. A little bit of homework and house cleaning before I start. I do not walk and talk at the same time very well, so I do have notes, and I apologize. And the other thing is I likely know the least about SaaS VIA than anyone speaking this week. But what I do know is how to accelerate the benefits and adoption of VIA. So today, I'll share a little initiative we started with our partners at SaaS to help with one of the biggest challenges that we see in large organizations when we're rolling out new technology, and that's momentum. The SaaS VIA Innovation Lab, I'm supposed to be clicking, I apologize. All right, SaaS VIA Innovation Lab is a zero-cost initiative that focuses on SaaS VIA skill development through dedicated training in a collaborative environment. The purpose of the lab is to accelerate some of our early use cases while the rest of the organization ramps up. Getting our people using the tool early also helps us demystify AI and new technology and get rid of some of the anxiety that adopting these tools can bring. So, when we first go down the path, bringing in exciting new technology and it's going to change the way that we do business, there's a lot of excitement in the air. We do our discovery work, we gather our use cases, and our momentum is at its peak. Then we sign the deal. We have our kickoff meetings, and everything's going very well. But what happens? We start to hit the momentum speed bumps that slow down our momentum, and they cause a lot of frustration. Many of these speed bumps, for the most part, they're necessary. They're there to make sure that we do things safely. But too many unnecessary bumps without the opportunity to accelerate can lead to frustration and hinder our adoption and change management. The long, slow road also means slow time to value. In many cases, by the time we get our new technology roadmap to its destination, we get our use cases into production, and we start to realize benefits. We're so far removed from our initial investment that we actually don't tie those benefits back to it. The importance of getting out of the gate early with some quick wins that can generate ROI or other benefits cannot be understated, and is key to keeping our executive sponsorship fresh and maintain that momentum. Everyone wants to be part of a winning team. So, how do you start a lab? I think that's probably why everyone's here. The first step is identify your use cases, and you have them at hand. You did your discovery work, you have your use cases at hand. You want to pick who's going to go in the lab. We have two kind of high-level criteria when we're picking use cases. The first is it has the opportunity to be scalable, and I'll give you an example. One of the use cases that came through our lab had a bunch of repetitive processes that were multi-language. Mix of SAS, R, Python. They wanted to move it into the VIA environment and then leverage the workflow optimization capabilities within the tool. It's a great idea, but it's also a common use case that almost any team that uses SAS that can benefit from, right? We all have repetitive processes that we'd like to get into VIA and have automated. So instead of thinking locally about their use case and their solution, we expanded it for them to create a Scotia-specific playbook that any team can use when they want to convert code and optimize workflows. SAS provides comprehensive training for most of this, but use cases like this help us identify the challenging nuances that are present within our organization. If we can nip these challenges in the bud early, we can avoid solution for them once the large-scale rollout begins, getting rid of some of those frustrating speed bumps. The second criteria is quick ROI. That's an easy one. And I'll give you another example. Through our use cases, we identified one. They wanted to create a challenger predictive model that was going to give us a bunch of lift by predicting ABC from XYZ, leveraging the AI model build and machine learning capabilities in VIA. This should be an easy win. VIA's AI model build is quick and powerful, and it allows us to generate AI-driven models in a fraction of the time that it would in a traditional tech stack. This will give us accelerated time to value, and we can start to apply some of these benefits to our investment very early on. One note when you're picking your use cases, you might have the perfect use case. Checks all the boxes, it's exciting, it's cool, but maybe the owners of those use cases aren't keen to participate. They might not want to work in a lab environment, they might not feel comfortable talking to it, or maybe they're too busy. And that's okay, right? We want to make sure that we pick teams and individuals that are excited and eager to participate. So once you know who's going in the lab and what your use cases are, right, you need a dedicated space. So whether it's a room, if you're lucky enough, or maybe it's just a corner of your floor, it just needs to be a space where people can work from and collaborate in. Whiteboards or other tools that help with visualizations, those are, they're great, but they're not deal breakers. Another thing that we like to talk about when we're running the lab is we have to keep in mind that, sometimes their VIA use case is just a part of their workload, and sometimes it's a side of the desk project. But even when they're not working on their use case, those months that they're in the lab, you still want them to work in that space. Just the presence of bodies and teams in the space, it gives that aura that something exciting is happening, and it builds camaraderie amongst those teams that are participating. So we have the who and the what, and we have the where. What do you do next? We need to get the word out. You need to engage with your networks. You need to use any channels you can. We have a lot of technology, Teams channels, newsletters, anything's a great method. Even directly connecting with people in your lab. But you just want to get the word out, and you want to get people to come by and hear the message, right? I shamelessly plug the lab in any room I'm in. So, yeah. All right, so we're ready to rock. We have our participants in. We've got our use cases fine-tuned. We have our lab space set up, and we've lined up visitors to it. What's next? We need to get our pitches ready, right? Your pitches are your chance at a first impression. Each team in the lab prepares a 3 to 5 minute elevator pitch. Think of it like a Dragon's Den type scenario. And this is their chance to sell their use case and talk about the benefits that they're deriving and the innovative ways that they're going to use VIA to do so. To get the pitches ready, I hold what's called a pitch boot camp. It's a half-day session in the lab space. It's an opportunity for the participants to practice their pitch, to apply feedback, and work on their visualizations and storytelling, and get their timing down. We usually do this a couple of weeks before the lab kicks off, so once it does, everyone's ready to rock. Another key component to the lab is Training Tuesdays. Training Tuesdays is an opportunity for lab participants to get dedicated in-person training in the lab space from SAS experts with a mix of in-lab and virtual sessions. Training content is customized week to week and dependent on use case progress. It's a great way for us to ramp up the VIA skill sets for the teams that are in there while the larger organization onboarding and training roadmap is still being developed. It also allows us to develop a group of in-house champions that can help with the larger journey. Highlight of the lab, Wow Me Wednesdays. This is where our network and leadership support is crucial. WowMe Wednesdays is dedicated for executive walkthroughs. Every Wednesday in the lab, members of our senior leadership tour the lab and hear the amazing pitches of our participants. There's a great opportunity for our talent to work on their presentation skills and get exposure to our leadership. But it's also a great opportunity for leadership to hear about the capabilities of SaaS Viya, to ask questions, and learn how we're deriving benefits for the organization. One of the other goals is to hopefully inspire these leaders to think about how they can use Viya in their world. When I'm setting up the lab and I'm working my network, I'm always looking for opportunities to build out my WowMe Wednesday schedule. So at first, it was cold calling, it was hit or miss, but as the lab took off and the reputation grew, it became a lot easier. And in this cohort, we've actually had to expand our WowMe Wednesdays out an additional month to fit everybody in. One thing that really draws teams to participate in the lab is this exposure of both themselves and their use cases to senior leadership. Leadership participation in the lab is critical to its success. It generates excitement in the participants and inspires use case developments to all parts of the organization. So I've kind of touched on some of the benefits throughout this, but I'd like to circle back and reiterate the direct and indirect benefits that we're deriving through our lab. The first, accelerated ROI. Use cases accelerated through the lab go into production and generate returns and learnings early. Scalable playbooks that help eliminate some of the growing pains in moving to a Viya environment, and it includes working through a lot of those speed bumps that we talked about that can be encountered when we're bringing in new technology. Collaboration. Collaborating with different teams fosters creativity and leads to the generation of innovative, out-of-the-box ideas. We've had a number of times throughout the lab where just by hearing your peers having challenges, we've collaborated together to solution and sometimes even created new use cases. So sometimes we walk out with 2 or 3 use cases more than we went in with. Talent development. So outside of ramping up our team's Viya skills, this really ties into some of the soft skills. The soft skills that are developed through pitching and answering questions on the fly. We highly encourage letting individuals on teams that don't normally get a chance to present to take the wheel when it comes to doing the pitches. And the confidence and the development that we see week to week in these individuals is very inspiring. In-lab training and developing champions. As discussed, the training done in the lab, tailored for lab participants based on their use case progress, expedites skill development. It also creates Viya champions in-house that can help on the skill development journey of their peers as the rest of the organization onboards. The benefits of having champions among us in-house as we work through this change is critical to our adoption success. Promoting return to office. I know we've relied a lot on, none of this is rocket science, this is all an old school analog approach, but we rely a lot on technology now to communicate and to connect. When we go to the office, we grab random spots and we don't really feel like a team. The lab gives those that participate a home, it's a place they feel like they belong and really build that kind of team spirit. And in the past, not really kind of a new concept, but unfortunately now it is. So, the lab's been running for a few months. It's wrapping up. What's next? Well, hopefully you have some use cases to promote in production or you're close to it. The solutions to challenges and roadblocks that have been worked through have now been developed into playbooks and communicated out to the teams that are running your training, your support, and your onboarding roadmap, as well as making your newly developed in-house champions key players that can support teams locally and help with some of the bottlenecks that can occur when you have centralized support. The final takeaway I'd probably leave you with is regardless of the progress of your Viya journey, the Innovation Lab can be repeated with a new cohort and a new set of use cases. The concept is team and stage agnostic. It can be used in any part of your organization for any type of use case. Its keys to success are centered on enthusiastic individuals and leadership, from the individuals running the lab to the executive sponsors to leadership coming through for Wow Me Wednesdays, and of course the enthusiasm of our wonderful partners at SAS to keep the momentum of our SAS Viya journey moving forward and enable early proof of value. Thank you.